Welcome. This is Unit 20 and the final session of our MOOC. Congratulations for staying with us until the end. This is the unit where we will give you instructions about how to complete your final assignment. You will be able to draw upon all the different tools, concepts, and approaches that we have discussed during this MOOC. We will then end with a wrap-up and some take-home messages. Here is the situation. Since you did such a great job with the previous quizzes and assignments, you have just been promoted from a consultant to a program manager for a new multi-million euro project to increase resilience and decrease disaster and climate risks of Green Island. Congratulations. Take some time off to celebrate. Okay, now, better get to work. The island's Prime Minister is actually so impressed by you that he is letting you design this program with very few constraints, except that he wants to see as much Eco-DRR and EBA as possible. In a way, you are fortunate as you are one of the few who gets the chance to actually design a disaster prevention program before a big disaster has hit. But then, your task will not be easy for the same reason. With the exception of the Prime Minister, most of the other cabinet members are not convinced that this ecosystem-based program is worth it. They are especially not convinced about investing in mangroves or watershed management. It is true that they are worried about climate change, sea level rise, and what will happen if they don't do anything in case of a really strong cyclone. But they would much rather prefer to see a good strong seawall around the island and a river dike to control the river to prevent future flooding. They know that vegetation on the steep mountain slopes and along the shoreline do protect against landslides and erosion and give many other benefits to the population for their livelihoods. But still, the island will seem more modern if it has a nice sturdy seawall protecting it, even if it might cause some beach erosion problems. Here is your chance to be creative. You will finally get an opportunity to present your Eco-DRR and EBA program during a public hearing. Therefore, you are expected to develop a convincing presentation with a preliminary budget, a simple cost-benefit analysis, and a resilience building strategy based on the knowledge acquired during this MOOC. You should consider both structural and non-structural measures. If you don't remember what this means, then please revise Unit 2. So, time to get going and best of luck with your assignment.
All right, this is it. Time to wrap up this MOOC. You have successfully made it through both the leadership and the expert track. We have covered lots of ground, including core concepts of Eco-DRR and EBA, mainstreaming issues, international agreements related to this topic, Eco-DRR tools and approaches, hazard and risk assessments, spatial tools, resilience, and in the written materials, you have web links and references for further research. Please keep in mind that this course is a springboard to give you a head start on thinking outside the box and merging three distinct and often separate fields: environmental management, disaster risk reduction, and climate change adaptation. The challenge for you as a future or current decision maker, leader, student, and agent of change is how can you make it happen? There are many opportunities and many challenges in implementing Eco-DRR and EBA. These include scaling up from locally successful projects to develop more general guidelines. Another challenge is to provide sufficient evidence and data about ecosystems. This includes data about their cost effectiveness and protective role as compared to the more widely accepted engineering approaches. However, none of these challenges are unsurmountable, and we encourage you to add to the bank of existing knowledge and practice in this emerging field. Let's wrap up with 3 take-home messages. The first is that Eco-DRR and EBA are no-regret strategies. One of the main components that distinguishes them from structural engineering measures are the multiple benefits that ecosystems provide. Disaster prevention and recovery, hazard mitigation and adaptation to climate change impacts are the main targets. But in addition, there are many co-benefits that gray infrastructure does not provide. Support to livelihoods, poverty reduction, protection of culture and identity, of water and soil resources, stabilization of the regional climate, biodiversity conservation, as well as carbon storage and sequestration. The no regrets message is also clearly stated in the 2014 IPCC 5th Assessment Report. Remember the case study example from Lamy, Fiji, and the Green Infrastructure Plan from New York City? More and more examples are demonstrating that over 15 to 20 years, green, or nature-based solutions to reducing disaster and climate risks are the most cost-effective compared to solely gray infrastructure. Now, this doesn't mean that engineered protection measures should be avoided. On the contrary, sometimes the hybrid gray-green solutions are the most appropriate, especially in densely populated areas, as long as they do not cause unsustainable ecological damage. Last but not least, ecosystem management is one of the few approaches that addresses all 3 components of the risk equation. This is logical considering that environmental degradation and people living in dangerous places are 2 of the biggest drivers of disaster risk. So ecosystems can prevent or mitigate hazards. Ecosystems can reduce exposure by functioning as natural buffers. Ecosystems can reduce vulnerability by supporting livelihoods before, during, and after disasters. So, the idea is to work with rather than against nature. So thanks again for joining this MOOC, and a special thanks to all of the people and organizations behind the scenes who made this MOOC possible, including our platform. Here are some of the people who made it happen. Come here, guys. Hey, and let others know about our MOOC for the next time it's offered. Bye for now, and thank you.